Welcome to the Stoa. Today we got Andjelic with us. Anna is a brand executive, author of The Business of Aspiration. This is a really great book. I recommend checking it out. She's one of Forbes, the most world's influential CMOs, and she has a fire Substack called the Sociology of Business. I just love it. Has all these like super cool and useful models. So I'll link that in the chats in a moment, and it'll be in the YouTube video. So we have Anna only here for 30 minutes today, and the other 30 minutes when she leaves, we'll have a group discussion about what's been discussed today. So if you have any chat questions, put them in the chat anytime. We may or may not get to them, but we will get them in the group discussion portion. So that being said, Anna, welcome to the Stoa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for a lovely introduction.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's well-deserved. And, there's so much, it'd be good to have like a sense of a lot of your models, like how to hack culture, taste communities, the 4 C's. But perhaps we'll start what is the aspirational economy, because the title is winning in the aspirational economy.
Yeah, so aspirational economy, you know how you have like traditional economy that runs around what is the monetary value of things and how you create value through the transactional exchanges. This is what you basically have on Amazon, what you have in Costco, what you have in most physical and digital retailers now. And then you have those more DTC companies, interactive commerce companies, social commerce companies that are still behind here in the US, but are big in China in terms of their models. And just overall, how do you value things? So you get a deep cut or information from a curator you admire on Instagram. That would be example of aspirational economy exchange, because what is really exchanged is not some jacket from maybe 30 years ago, like in the 90s, that curator is talking about. Is basically exchange that curatorial point of view, the taste that that person has and that you have in association, because you know of them, and the information, the knowledge that that person puts the products together. So now imagine they're not only like 3 curators, everyone is a curator, and we all try to influence each other, but we are not competing just who has more money than someone else and buying stuff that everyone else is buying, but who is going to find more unique, more rare, more obscure item that comes with a story. And you say, hey, you know, Duran wore this jacket on their concert in London when they were starting up. It's like that's that story that you're really trading in aspirational economy.
So Veblen was wrong, as you
well, yes. And yeah, I mean, I do say that because it was still based on like high class money, whereas now it's sort of all over the place, and it's also reversed. It's not about having money to buy things, but about having taste to know what to buy. And that was less in Veblen. Veblen was more imitation of lower classes towards higher classes, and now we imitate everyone else. That's why everyone looks the same.
And I think there's a great intuition out there that like the social capital is what people are really hungry for. And then your first, I think, or your first chapter here in the book is hack growth. In order to hack growth, you got to hack culture. And there's 2 ways to root the brand into some kind of subculture, or plug into the zeitgeist of the culture. And there's like a Japanese phrase, I don't know how to pronounce it, that you mentioned as well.
Yeah, there is a phrase, kuki wo yomu. It's like read the room, read the atmosphere. So in Tokyo Vice, do you ever watch in Tokyo Vice? There's like this show on HBO Max. It's set up in Tokyo in the 90s. And the Yakuza literally uses that. When I first heard it, it was in Japan at some event. And when Japanese told me, oh, why Japan got into Second World War, it was because the emperor was reading the atmosphere in the country. And what in this show was used is by Yakuza is like there's time, like read the room. You don't need to like attack someone. You can talk to someone. So it's all about kind of like what is a prevalent mood in culture. And you could see when it was COVID and after COVID, when it was Black Lives Matter, how that was very prime for social change. And a lot of changes happened in society at the same time, because that mood is contagious. And what you also have here now is that zeitgeist that is in the sleaze, for example, on TikTok. So you have like those trends, and kind of like knowing when something is going to happen before it happens, is being able to kind of like what's the prevalent air.
And so how do you recommend people hack a culture in that way? Like, how do they get that sense?
Well, the example that I'm using is about the menswear, and how Harry's, the shaving company, and all others that came afterwards, they were founded, I think, like 2016 or maybe a little earlier. And what they did is basically they looked at like different research, and they were like, oh, the winds are changing, men are caring more about their grooming. But even if you look like 5 or 6 years before that, they were like mental reports, like they were already recorded shifts much earlier than that brand actually capitalized on them. So it's a combination of quantitative analysis. What are consumers spending their time and money on? Like, what are they watching? Who are they influenced by? What are they doing on social media? What are they buying when they're buying that? And then going and just sheer observation of what people are doing and behaving, and just having a qualitative insights from the textual analysis, what the newspapers writing about. So that is possible. It's just knowing where to pay attention to. So for example, I read the other day that in the UK, the streaming services have been canceled en masse because there is inflation and people are cutting on non-essential spending. So that will give you the opportunity to create cheaper bundles between those services. Or when you have, like, before IKEA and TaskRabbit joined, you would say, yes, IKEA is great, but you have all those like internet groups. There's like, what the fuck, like, how do I put this together? So it's kind of that content analysis, that understanding is like, yeah, people, we are making money by giving cheap modern furniture to people and by offloading costs to them to put it together. But the bottleneck is putting it together. It's not anymore how do I package already assembled furniture, which was the most expensive part of IKEA's value chain. It's like, no, it's going to be cheap for us. We're going to package it very tightly. But then our job is to make those instructions as simple as possible. Well, they're not. So that is, they solved it by providing a human to put that thing together for you. So these are all examples of sort of solving. We're seeing what is happening in the environment and addressing it.
And one thing I find very helpful is like discovering a mental model that allows you to see the world differently. And then your models that you present, like you got this like taste map, maybe I'll share my screen and show it, that really kind of help you filter it to see, what's the current moment that's happening. So perhaps you can talk about like taste communities, because in the chapter on taste communities, you're arguing that instead of targeting individuals nowadays, we have to have a sense on the communities that they're embedded in, and then the taste that surrounds it.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, taste communities are communities that are formed around people who share interests, values, taste, buying habits, shopping habits, viewing habits. So basically they were pioneered by Netflix, although I don't know if Netflix calls them that, when they granularly broke down all content. And so you have like movies, so it's not just a movie, it's like a noir set in mid-century China where the main character is a dog, and it kind of like they have all those different tags to describe content. And when they have that, they also look at how you and I are watching it and say, hey, she loves female characters or male characters, or she likes when the ending is confusing or maybe not straightforward. And that is kind of like how they create their recommendations. So that's one part of the thing. But what they go further is say, well, she if she likes confusing endings, there's someone in Africa, in Europe, in Latin America who also like that. So we're going to put them together, not by demographics, not by their geographic location, but by their taste. So that is sort of the idea of like based on what people like to watch, based on those micro genres, Netflix managed to create very granular taste communities. And that is what social commerce in China, companies like Pinduoduo are now doing, is basically you get recommendations of products, not only based on what you bought, dog food or iPhone or whatever, they're going to give you iPhone accessories and so on. So it's not about your personal purchase history. It's a purchase history of whoever you share that item with, who else. It's like more of a collaborative filtering, but it's a collaborative filtering in real time. In a sense, you don't need to wait for historical data to be assembled. They're like looking who else is at this moment sharing that, who sent it to their friends, who browsed, who were just passively scrolling down through and have that information. So basically taste communities are the core unit of marketing these days because all that social information is available now. We don't need to target people as individuals anymore because we lose out the entire network that this individual belongs to and that they're influenced by and are influencing. But there was one question, if you want to address it, because we're moving away from this topic.
Yeah, we'll touch on Kevin's question in a moment. I just wanted to, maybe Rich as well, but I was hoping to share my screen just to kind of get people a taste of what your models, and this is from Anna's Substack. This is, I think, your taste map. I don't know if like either the first two or the quadrant 4 and 1 are both kind of status and aspiration. I don't know if you want to like touch on that. Yeah. So you can check out that. And before we pivot to the Q&A, just I think maybe another model to touch on would be high leverage is the 4 C's. Was it community, content, curation, and collaboration?
So that is something I developed like a while ago, a few years back, to basically define what are the core pillars of modern brand building. And each of those is sort of what is the role of brands in an environment that is much more social and decentralized. So one is how you create content even before a single purchase has been made. So that's like what the group has been doing. They were a newsletter and before they did anything else. And even later, when they build that like business model is the wonder wheel. It's basically how do you use that one core product and create its extensions in different media formats, like a Netflix series. It's all aligned with the same sort of approach and same values. And even people who go to Goop, even people who go scroll down Instagram instead of shopping, scrolling gives the same satisfaction as buying something. So that is the whole thing. What kind of original content or curated content brands can provide in order to have a much larger audience than their buying customers are. Because if you have much larger audience, that means that everyone knows about you. You have more fans than you have customers, which is potentially a giant new addressable market for you and source of customer intelligence. Curation is the role of brands as cutting through a lot of choice that is happening out there, not just for their own products and surfacing their own products, not men's wear, women's wear. It's not, oh, under $100 above. It's more about, oh, it's about taste or about occasion or about like whatever is happening in your lifestyle. And also, how do you look at culture and filter what's happening in culture through your own brand point of view? Then obviously you have community, which goes back to your first question. It's like, how do you create that community of people who are most passionate about your brand, and how are they going to influence others? And also, what does it mean by incentivizing that community? Now with Web3, there are a lot of mechanisms that are possible to gamify experience, to incentivize customers to get rewarded for their attention. In attention economy, the most valuable asset is attention. So how do you monetize it as a consumer, and how do you reward it as a brand? And then the final one is content community collaborations. Yes. So that was like a while ago before collaborations exploded. And it just shows that that was in the zeitgeist, in a sense that what brands are doing is creating collectibles, creating unique objects by putting together their own footprints. And that's what I say, it's great collaborations are kitsch, good collaborations are art, but great ones are kitsch. Because kitsch is never meant to be taken seriously. It's never meant to be sort of mistaken for the real thing. So that is what collaborations really do. They're poking fun, or they're like ironic, they're subversing something. When you look Supreme and Tiffany's, it's completely new audience and completely new message. So those are the 4 ones.
And I'll link the articles so you can read more about it. And there's some other models like, you know, the audience model that you had would really help me kind of like see into my audience and with the Stoa and everything like that. So definitely we'll link those. So let's pivot to Q&A. Steve, you can ask your question. You're on mute.
Me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome. Thanks.
you.
The question I have is, I was thanks, Peter, by the way, for turning me on to Anna's work. I started reading your book, and I work in the service industry. I'm a coach, and I see all of your work is so product focused, and I'm curious about how it applies to service industries, because of course, you know, we can buy products, other people can see it, they can see the fashions we wear, something like that, and that contributes to a desired social identity. But the services we use are more hidden. It's hard to know. So I'm kind of curious what you think about this.
Right. I mean, I believe I do mention services, and if not, I mean, it's kind of implied throughout, because when you are, say, a member to a fancy gym or a fitness program, you behave in the same way as if it was a product. You wear a t-shirt from that gym because you want to show that you not only have the money to pay $1,000 a month for that membership, but you also belong to a community of people who signal their values, like wellness, they identify with those values. And then also you have a direct benefits of that service, and I mean, the way your body looks. So I think that is for membership services when it comes to fitness. But you also have the same thing about Soho House, now to much lesser extent when they opened so many houses, but that was something that was unbelievably exclusive, and that is a service. Other clubhouses like One Bond, Casa Cipriani, they don't necessarily need to be expensive, but now what they have is like this questionnaire. Who are you? Are you contributing to this community? Like, it's not about you have money to buy things and you're like some, you know, like you're not going to contribute anything by working in a specific area, by being a coach, by being like, they're looking at your entire lifestyle and your entire value system, beliefs, interests, taste. And so if the taste fits, then you're received in. And you also have services like airlines. That's exactly the same thing. When you look at airline loyalty programs, I mean, they can be so much better in terms of turning it into membership clubs versus just, oh, I accumulated, I don't know, 10,000 MQMs, and then I'm going to the next one and the next one, because that's very monetarily. So I do think like that applies in the same way to absolutely to services, if not more, because this is in aspiration economy, services and experiences are where it's at. What was Burning Man before is now like silent retreat. Right. You know, so it's kind of like who can have that experience, because you're not outwardly symbolizing that you had that experience, but your own personal enlightenment and self-actualization and having higher consciousness is showing you in a much is showing off more than, oh, I have money to have a new Gucci bag.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciated your answer.
Sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Anjan, I'll take you in.
Hey, Anna, how you doing? My question is basically, what do you think are like famous books, people, ideas in marketing that a lot of people still have in their head, they're still taught, what do you think are totally wrong in today's day?
I'm a terrible person to ask that. First of all, I cannot remember anything ever. That's why I have to like write things down because like, I mean, like, I don't know. I saw recently on some Twitter thread there was like, what do you use in your everyday life? And I tend to agree with most of them. It's just like same stuff, different day almost, you know, in a sense. I think the biggest fallacy is perhaps if you build it, they will come, but that has already been debunked so much. So I should not pile up any of that. And what was wrong? I think that really good marketing books are actually the ones that transcend. Especially like when you see like Ogilvy on advertising or Michael Porter's, obviously there are going to be certain things that are wrong if they were written before the internet. You come for see things. But those books usually talk about the quality, understanding of customers, the power of storytelling, humans and storytelling animals, humans and status signaling monkeys. You know, those truths are the same. So for me, what is most relevant is basically asking not what is different, but what is going to stay the same next 10 years, because that is actually where you need to be.
Any follow-up, Share?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I have a follow-up. Let's say like you started a company, Anna, and like you're leading the marketing for this. What do you think would still be hard for you? Like in spite of your great knowledge and insights, like translating that, what do you think would be the actual difficulties in implementing these ideas?
I mean, all of it. Like one thing is kind of analyzing those things, working in companies where someone else organized that for you, no matter how big your job is, as I was chief brand officer at Banana Republic or chief marketing officer, those are massive, massive jobs, you know, but at the same time, someone else build the structure, someone else is, you know what you're all working towards. So now imagine building all of that from scratch. It's sort of, first you need to commit. That's number one. When you commit, then you need to find the right talent, which is always the hardest thing, and the right sort of fit and the right way. You're going to be spending so much time with those people. So, you know, like are they bringing the right thing? Then establishing the process and then keeping the momentum going, because a lot of times companies start and they have a momentum and then it just sort of tapers off. So having some quick wins very, you know, early on that encourages the team, and then obviously building a market and building the audience. One thing is having a great investor pitch deck and having that Series C or, you know, Series A, B, you know, or pre-seed. But the other thing is actually building. So that is day in, day out job. And I do think that people underestimate how hands-on that job is, building something completely new. Are you building something new? How is it going?
Oh, it's miserable. It's so hard, but somehow you still keep doing it.
Well, did I touch upon some things that you're thinking about?
Well, Peter has outlawed me from any follow-ups, but I guess maybe you have veto power here.
Yeah, no, feel free to respond.
Yeah, I think the hard part is like I was really inspired by a lot of Rory Sutherland's books and talks and things, and just in practice, it's like, oh shit, like this is very technical, like running Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Like there's such a divergent approach to, I don't know, like kind of the creative, subjective side and this very like technical, almost like, you know, mechanical, algorithmic side of advertising. And it was almost disillusioning to see how effective that the mechanical side is. Like it's not even very creative, but you have such scale and there's so many people you reach out to. So
it is, and I mean, but I also think that your sort of answer also has my question for you is that the right path? Then yes, I believe it's all super technical, but I also believe that you can be creative in creating incentives for people to shop together. By shopping together, they quickly need to pull others. So your customer acquisition costs, you rely on a different dynamic, because buying Facebook ads, like, forget it. I mean, like, that's going, the cost is going up and up and up, and algorithms are changing all the time. So you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket, for one. And the second thing is, that's absolutely true how technical stuff is, because even if you just have a simple website that is e-commerce site, then you're like, how is my button going to look? Where is it going to go next? Like, what is this user flow? Very, like, what is the experience rollout? Which features do I need to have a minimum viable product? Which ones? But for me, that is the, like, I don't necessarily enjoy it particularly because it's very tactical, but that is actually where the most satisfaction comes in. When those things work, that's where your money is. That's where the actual satisfaction comes in. So I think you just need to reframe how you think about those things a little bit. Turn them into creative exercises.
And
I mean, it helps me because, like, right now I'm working on some secondary marketplace auction. It's a grind. Like, let me tell you, it's a grind. Going through like design revisions is like, yeah. Also making a rollout plan. Oh, a week we're gonna do this, and it's sort of PR activation, and then you do this. I mean, it's just a lot. But then when it happens, you feel in control.
Awesome. And maybe we'll do some collective troubleshooting because Andjan has a really awesome product that he's releasing.
Can't wait.
And yeah, so we're approaching a 30-minute mark. Anna, any parting words you would like to leave us with here at the Stoa?
Well, I'm looking, like, I want to make sure that I answer any other, because there was one about the zeitgeist, and the thing is to recognize the zeitgeist before it becomes zeitgeist. That's how you hack it, because you then own it. The same way Harry hacked the zeitgeist, because they were taught as those who brought that zeitgeist on, and the whole thing was like, no, they didn't. They were actually able to read the mood before anyone else recognized to connect those dots. That was the thing. Because once they were there and everyone started talking about them, then the whole thing basically exploded. Then it became the zeitgeist. Mood and zeitgeist are sort of mood is before.
That's very cool. So I can send you some of the questions that we didn't answer, and you can kind of look at it at your leisure. But I would definitely recommend everyone check out Anna's work, her book, The Business of Aspiration, and her Substack is really good. So I'll look that on the video notes.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Yeah, let's stay in touch. Feel free to share my email address, Peter. And yeah, guys, reach out, find me on Instagram, find me on my newsletter. Like, I'm available, please. I want to hear more about what you are doing.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'll stay in touch, and we'll love to have you back, Anna. We can have further conversations here at the Stoa. So thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you very much for having me. Look forward to staying in touch, Peter and team. Bye, guys.
Bye now. All right, everyone. I'm going to turn off the recording.